Senator, no one
Based
has
on what
asked
you
me
know.
to investigate Liz Cheney. That is a
The
hypothetical.
president has called for it publicly. You are aware of that, aren't you?
No one has asked me to investigate
But the president
Liz.
has
We're
called,
also worried about Liz Cheney,
the
Senator.
president has
You know what
called
we
for
should
this.
be worried about?
Ms. Bondi,
The
please
crime rate
answer
in
my
California
questions.
right now
You
is
are aware,
through the roof.
Ms. Bondi,
Your robberies are 87% higher than the national average.
My question is this.
That's what I want to be focused on, Senator.
Do you have the power to say no to the
Attorney
president?
General.
And what you're suggesting today by your non-answer is you don't have the independence to say no to the president.
Welcome back to American Mindset, the channel where we cut through the noise, stand for liberty, and defend the values that make America great. Today, we're diving into a heated exchange between Senator Adam Schiff and Attorney General nominee Pam Bondi. Let me tell you, folks, this was something else. The left is up to their usual tricks, and we're here to break it all down. Let's watch the video.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Bondi, as you know, the Supreme Court in Trump versus United States held the president has absolute immunity to commit crimes in certain core areas of the president's responsibility. One of those core areas is the Justice Department. So in a breathtakingly dangerous and irresponsible decision, Justice Roberts and the majority held the president could commit crimes using the Department of Justice and be immune from prosecution. Justice Sotomayor correctly said this new immunity lies about like a loaded weapon. So the fear and the concern we have is that the incoming president will use that loaded weapon, that immunity, to commit crimes through the Department of Justice. And for that reason, it is all the more important that we have an attorney general who has the independence, the strength, the intestinal fortitude to say no to the president when it is necessary. So my first set of questions has to do whether you have the independence to say no when you must say no. And you can say this is hypothetical, but it is not hypothetical. So let me start with one very specific non-hypothetical. The president has said Jack Smith should go to jail. Will you investigate Jack Smith?
Senator, I haven't seen the file. I haven't seen the investigation. I haven't looked at anything. It would be irresponsible of me to make a commitment regarding anything without, you're a long practicing attorney, without looking at a file.
So you would need a factual predicate to open an investigation of Jack Smith, is that right?
Not a summary by you sitting here. Yes, sir.
And not a summary by the president either, right?
Absolutely.
So a summary by the president or his desire to investigate Jack Smith would not be enough for you to open an investigation of Jack Smith, is that right?
I will look at the facts and evidence in any case. You know,
and sitting here today,
Senator, 72% of Americans have lost faith in the Department of Justice.
Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Sitting here today, yes or no?
Senator, I will look at the facts and the circumstances.
You can't answer that question. You're not a part of the department yet. There's no worry about divulging law enforcement sensitive information. So just tell us, are you aware of a factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Yes or no?
Senator, what I'm hearing on the news is horrible. Do I know if he committed a crime? I have not looked at it.
You seem reluctant to answer a simple question. Let me ask you a different simple question. The president also wants to jail Liz Cheney. Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual basis to investigate Liz Cheney? Yes or no?
Senator, that's a hypothetical, and I'm not going to answer that question.
No, it's not hypothetical. I'm asking you, sitting here today, whether you are aware of a factual predicate to investigate Liz Cheney.
Senator, no one has asked me to investigate Liz Cheney. That is a hypothetical.
The president has called for it publicly. You are aware of that, aren't you?
No one has asked me to investigate.
But the president has
We're also worried about Liz Cheney, Senator.
The president has called for this.
You know what we should be worried about?
Ms. Bondi, please answer my questions.
The crime rate in California right now is through the roof.
Ms. Bondi,
your robberies are 87% higher than the national average.
My question is this.
That's what I want to be focused on, Senator.
Do you have the power to say no to the president? And what you're suggesting today by your non-answer is you don't have the independence to say no to the president. So let me ask you a different question. It also requires you, if you're going to be a good attorney general, to be able to tell hard truths to the president. So my questions now are, can you tell hard truths to the president? So let me start with an easy truth that you could speak to the president. Can you tell us, can you tell him that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election? Can you say that? Do you have the independence to say that? Do you have the gravitas, the stature, the intestinal fortitude to say, Donald Trump, you lost the 2020 election? Can you tell us that here today?
Senator, what I can tell you is I will never play politics. You're trying to engage me in a gotcha. I
No,
won't
I'm just
do it.
asking you a simple
I
question.
won't play
If you can
politics
speak truth
with any
to
ongoing
power. So let me ask you
investigation,
another.
like you did
let me-
leaking your
let me ask
colleague
you-
Devin Nunes's
if,
memo.
If you can't answer the question, let me ask you a different, what should be a simple truth, not a hard one. Was there massive fraud affecting the result of the 2020 election, yes or no?
Senator, I'm glad you asked that question. If you'll let me answer what I saw in Pennsylvania.
No, I asked a simple question about massive fraud.
I can only tell you what I saw in Pennsylvania.
I know you want to answer a different question, but my question is, can you tell us whether there was massive fraud affecting the results of the 2020 election, yes or no? Was there
I
or
can
was there
tell
not?
you what I saw when I went
That's
as an
not my,
advocate
that's
to
not
the
my
campaign.
question. So you can't answer that question. You can't speak that even easy truth to us, let alone to the president. So let me ask you a different question. It will also be important that you give good advice to the president. Are you prepared to advise the president not to pardon people who beat police officers?
Senator, as I said, the pardons are at the direction of the president. We will look and we will advise. I will look at every case on a case.
so you
Let me
look at-
finish on a case-by-case
Okay,
basis.
okay, good.
And I
let me
abhor violence to police officers.
follow up with that. So will it be your advice to the president, Mr. President, I know you said you want to issue hundreds of pardons on day one. Will it be your advice to the president? No, Mr. President, I need to go over them on a case-by-case basis. Do not issue blanket pardons. Will that be your advice to the president?
Senator, I have not looked at any of those files. If confirmed, I will look at the files
And
for
will
the
you be able to
pardons, as well
will
as
you
the
be able to
ongoing
review
investigation.
hundreds of cases on day one?
I will look at every file I am
Of course
asked
you
to
won't.
look
So
at.
will you advise the
Hey,
president?
can I
will
answer
you-
the question?
Well, my question
I
is-
would have plenty of staff. You said, of course you want.
You'll be able to review
Listen, I'm
hundreds
not
of
going to
cases on the first day?
mislead this body nor you.
All right, let me ask another question. You don't want to answer that. Let me ask
You were
another question.
censured by
It will
Congress,
also-
Senator, for
it will
comments just
also-
like this that
it
are
will
so reckless.
It will also be important for you to be able to preserve the records, the evidence of the department. Are you ready to commit that none of the evidence in the January 6th investigation will be destroyed under your watch?
Senator, I will follow the law. I will consult with ethical officials in the
Do you
department.
see any ethical basis to destroy evidence in the January 6th investigation? Then why can't you answer the question? Why can't you say, I commit to this committee, we will never destroy the evidence in the January 6th investigation? Why can't you give this committee and the American people that assurance?
Are you frightened because evidence was destroyed against President Trump that was false? Is that why you're
Why do
frightened
you
now?
have
I can't
difficulty?
believe this is even.
Why do you have difficulty answering that question?
I can't believe
Why do you
you're
have
asking such a
difficulty?
question.
Why do you have difficulty promising to preserve evidence at the Department of Justice? Why is that a difficult question?
I will follow the law.
It shouldn't be a difficult question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Bondi, I know that you are pleased that we are moving to the end of round one, and we appreciate your being here.
If you haven't seen it yet, Adam Schiff, yes, the same Schiff who dragged us through years of endless investigations and baseless accusations, decided to grill Pam Bondi on her ability to stand up to President Trump. But let's be real, we all know what this was about. It wasn't about truth or justice. It was another desperate attempt to smear anyone aligned with conservative values. Let's start with Schiff's first move, dragging in the Supreme Court's decision on presidential immunity. Schiff called it breathtakingly dangerous. But you know what's actually dangerous? A weaponized Department of Justice that has been used to target political opponents. We've seen it time and time again under this administration. Schiff isn't worried about justice. He's worried about losing control of his political narrative. Now, Schiff starts grilling Bondi about whether she would investigate Special Counsel Jack Smith if Trump asked her to. And Bondi, being the professional that she is, made it clear that she wouldn't open any investigation without evidence. Imagine that. Actually following the law and demanding a factual predicate before launching a witch hunt. What a concept. But Schiff, oh no, he can't handle that. He wants her to commit to his narrative, not the truth. Then, the fireworks really began. Schiff, in all his arrogance, demanded to know if Bondi would investigate Liz Cheney. Now, let me pause for a second here. Why is Schiff so obsessed with shielding Liz Cheney? Could it be because she's one of their favorite pawns to attack Trump and divide conservatives? Probably. But Bondi, once again, showed restraint and professionalism. She made it clear that she's focused on facts, not political games. That's what we need in leadership, not these endless partisan attacks. And here's where Schiff really showed his hand. He tried to corner Bondi into saying that Trump lost the 2020 election. Now let me ask you folks, why is this still such a big issue for the left? They spend all this time screaming democracy, democracy, but they can't handle even a shred of scrutiny when it comes to the 2020 election. Bondi, to her credit, refused to play Schiff's game. She said she won't play politics, and that's exactly the kind of integrity we need. Now, Schiff's meltdown didn't stop there. He threw out accusations about January 6th, demanded Bondi commit to preserving evidence, and even implied she'd support blanket pardons for those involved. Folks, this is the same Adam Schiff who had no problem with evidence being destroyed when it favored his narrative. The hypocrisy is off the charts. Bondi stood her ground and said she'd follow the law, case by case. That's called due process, something the left conveniently forgets when it doesn't serve their agenda. Here's the bottom line. This wasn't a hearing about Pam Bondi's qualifications. This was a political circus, plain and simple. Schiff and his cronies are terrified of anyone who might stand up to their weaponized system of justice and restore integrity to our institutions. They don't want an attorney general who follows the law. They want a puppet who plays by their rules. Pam Bondi showed incredible composure under fire. She refused to be bullied into political posturing. And let's be clear, her commitment to facts and evidence is what we should demand from every leader, regardless of party. But Schiff, he's not interested in facts. He's interested in maintaining the swamp. And that's why he was so desperate to trip her up. Folks, this is why we need to stay vigilant. The left is doing everything they can to undermine patriots who are willing to fight for justice and truth. But here on American Mindset, we'll keep exposing their games, standing up for freedom, and reminding everyone what real leadership looks like. If you agree, smash that like button, share this video, and subscribe to the channel. Together, we can keep the American spirit alive. Stay strong, stay proud, and stay free. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.